You're not going to believe what happened to me that night, and trust me, once you hear this story, you'll never look at kindness the same way again. So before we start, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay till the end, because what happened the next morning completely changed my life. That's how Daniel began his story, a single dad with tired eyes but a heart too big for the world around him. He wasn't a man of many words, but that night, in the middle of a storm, he did something no one expected, not even himself. Daniel worked as a mechanic at a small garage on the edge of town. Life hadn't been easy since his wife passed away 2 years earlier. He was raising his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. Every morning, he'd braid her hair, pack her lunch, and drop her at school before rushing to work. Money was tight, but love filled their small home. Lily was his reason for everything, the only light he had left. His boss, Veronica Hayes, was the complete opposite of him. A sharp, confident woman in her early 30s, she owned the auto shop. People said she came from money, but there was something broken behind her smile, something she never talked about. She wasn't cruel, but distant. Cold at times. The kind of person who built high walls around her heart. Daniel respected her but kept his distance. One Friday night, just as Daniel was about to close the garage and head home, the sky cracked open. Rain poured down in sheets, thunder rolling over the hills. Lily was home with the neighbor, and Daniel was grabbing his coat when his phone buzzed. It was a number he didn't recognize. "Daniel, it's Veronica," her voice was slurred, trembling. "My car, it's stuck. I think I'm near Ridgeway Hill, please." He froze. That road was dangerous even in daylight. In the middle of a storm, it was a death trap. Without a second thought, Daniel grabbed his keys and drove into the night. The rain was so heavy he could barely see through the windshield. Wipers screeched. Wind roared. His old truck rattled as he climbed the steep, slippery road. Then he saw it, Veronica's black sedan, half off the embankment, its headlights flickering weakly through the rain. Daniel jumped out, water soaking him instantly. "Veronica, are you okay?" She was slumped over the steering wheel, shivering and crying. The smell of alcohol hit him as soon as he opened the door. She looked up, her mascara running. "I didn't mean to, I just wanted to forget everything." He didn't ask what everything meant. He just pulled her out, wrapped his jacket around her, and helped her into his truck. Her hands were freezing. She couldn't stop crying. As he drove her home, she whispered things she probably didn't mean to say. About feeling alone. About losing someone she loved years ago. About trying to drown her pain in work, in control, in pretending she had it all figured out. When they reached her house, she tried to apologize, but Daniel just said quietly, "You're safe now. Get some rest." He didn't mention it at work the next day. In fact, he didn't think she'd even remember. But that wasn't the end. The next morning, a Saturday, Daniel was making pancakes with Lily when there was a knock at the door. He opened it and froze. Veronica was standing there, holding a paper bag, raincoat draped over her arm, looking nothing like the boss he knew. "Good morning," she said softly. "Can I come in?" He hesitated, then nodded. She smiled at Lily, who peeked out from behind him. "You must be Lily. I brought breakfast." Lily's eyes lit up, and soon the three of them were sitting at the tiny kitchen table. It was awkward at first, the kind of silence that feels heavy. Then Veronica looked at Daniel and said, "I owe you an apology. For last night, and for how I've treated you." Daniel shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. Everyone has bad days." But she didn't look convinced. Instead, she took a deep breath. "No, I do. Because last night wasn't just a bad day. It was the anniversary of my brother's death. He was the reason I started the garage. We used to work on cars together. When he died, I lost the only family I had left. And instead of facing it, I buried myself in work." Daniel listened quietly. There was something raw in her voice, something he understood too well, loss that never really leaves you. Lily reached out and touched Veronica's hand. "It's okay," she said innocently. "Daddy says people we love don't really go away. They live in our hearts." Veronica smiled through tears. "You're very wise, Lily." From that day, things began to change. Veronica started spending more time at the garage, not as a boss but as part of a family. She'd bring Lily snacks after school, laugh with Daniel over coffee breaks, and slowly, the walls she'd built began to crumble. Weeks turned into months. The three of them grew close, not because they were perfect, but because they understood pain and how love can heal it. Daniel helped Veronica rediscover the joy in small things, fixing an engine together, eating dinner without rushing, smiling without guilt. Then one evening, as they closed up the garage, Veronica looked at Daniel and said, "Do you know why I came to your house that morning?" He shrugged. "To apologize." She shook her head. "No. To say thank you. You didn't just save me from the storm that night. You saved me from myself." Daniel smiled faintly. "You just needed someone to remind you you're not alone." She looked at him for a long moment, eyes soft. "And maybe, I could remind you of that too." That was the night Daniel realized something he hadn't felt in years: hope. Not the kind that comes in big moments, but the quiet kind that grows in between laughter, shared meals, and second chances. Months later, Veronica helped Daniel expand the garage. Business grew, and so did their bond. On Christmas Eve, Lily handed Daniel a small box wrapped in silver paper. Inside was a tiny keychain, 2 wrenches crossed, engraved with the words, "Family isn't who you start with, it's who stays." When he looked up, Veronica was smiling, tears in her eyes. So, if you've ever felt like the storm in your life will never end, remember this: sometimes the darkest nights bring the kindest hearts together. And the people you least expect can change your world forever.